Hey, my friends. So, we have been looking at the Day of the Dead celebration in Mexico. And as part of this, we looked at the story, The Dancing Skeleton. Now, what we are going to do is create our own dancing skeleton. We're going to start by breaking down our skeleton and drawing it, and then by going ahead and adding our decorations. Now, I have different materials I want to show you. Our oil pastels, our chalk, like sidewalk chalk, and then also just drawing it with markers or crayons. Either one of those will work, but I want to show you how the different materials will look, because when I get to see you, we're going to work with some of the different materials. So we are going to start with the oil pastels. I'm going to make this larger. So because we're starting with a skeleton, I am going to use the white. Now we've looked at pictures of skeletons, so we know their body structure, and we can kind of flip back and forth as we look. When you draw your skeleton, I suggest you start with the head. I'm going to walk through this really slowly with our different shapes. So that way, if you want to follow along, you can just stop the video as you go. So as I start at the top with my head, I'm going to start with a rainbow shape and a U shape for the chin. And then I'm going to connect them to make my skull shape. So I have the larger rainbow on the top connected to the U. Now we're going to go all the way down through the backbone. So we're going to connect our skull to about halfway down our paper. And as we saw in the different pictures, the backbone is not straight. It's kind of an S curve. So we've got our skull, we've got our spine and our backbone. We're going to start building the structure of our skeleton body. So first, we're going to put our hands on our shoulders. Now, your shoulders and your arms are not connected right underneath your neck. So we are going to make a space for our shoulders. I'm going to add a line right across. Those aren't my arms. Those are just my shoulders. So that gives me the space there. Now, for my arms, go ahead, look at your arms, move them around. You have two lines for your arms. If you stand it up like this, 1, 2, and they can move. So from each shoulder, I'm going to add my 2 lines for my arms. So ready? From here, I'm going to go 1, 2, and I can do my other one a different way because our skeletons are dancing. So we have both sections of our arms, and they're attached to the edges of our shoulders and not right under our neck. So now we're going to move down, put your hands on your hips. We are going to make our spaces on our hips. So kind of like we did our line across, except we need spaces where our legs are going to move. So come down to your hips, and we're going to add our hip bone on one side and then on the other side of our spine. So right at the base of our spine, where our legs connect with our hips, add your 2 hips. Now, our legs, same as our arms, we're going to need those 2 lines to make them look like they dance. So from my hip, 1, 2 lines for my leg. Now for my skeleton's dancing, I'm going to add my other leg. Here's where we get to add in the details. So we are going to go for our hands and our feet now. So with my hands, I'm going to add that small circle for the center of my hand, and how many fingers? 5 fingers. Both of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for the feet, same thing. we're just going to do the toes longer, because when you actually looked at the skeleton foot, it has really long toes that come the whole length, which is what makes that foot shape. So our other one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, and mine are kind of all together. It doesn't quite look the same. Now, I need you to feel right in your middle. Do you feel those bones that reach around? Those are your ribs. We are going to draw them as our capital C. So if I start here, I'm going to make a capital C. In the same spot, I'm going to do a backward C. So I have that curve where my ribs come around. So ready? Right below my shoulders, I'm going to draw my C. And then the other side for my rib. I'm going to come down a little bit and do it again. My C and my other side. Come down one more time. So we're going to draw 3 sets of ribs, just like that. And that is our dancing skeleton. So we're going to do it again with chalk, because I want you to see the difference in how they work. Now the oil pastel, you can see how I have some of it kind of smudged. It's softer than crayon, which is why it shows up so much brighter on the paper. Chalk is even softer, so I have to be careful as I'm drawing, going through the same process, creating the skull with my rainbow and my U and connecting it, and my backbone, which is also my spine, my shoulders, my hips, my arms and legs, I did them different, hands and feet. Now here's what I want you to notice. See how I barely rub over the top of the chalk and it smudges a lot? The oil pastel smudges a little, but not nearly as much. So as I'm drawing, I'm very careful not to drag my hand across what I'm drawing. And I need you to be careful with different materials that you use. Now with the chalk, I did say it's just like sidewalk chalk. So I have mine in lots of different colors because it's artist chalk, but our white for our skeleton works just the same if it's regular sidewalk chalk or if it's artist chalk. Now, with all of these are just different materials, and even if you don't have them to use, I want you to see how they look. Now, the last one I'm going to do on plain white paper, and I'm going to use a marker. Same drawing technique as we break down our dancing skeleton into shapes and letters. So like I said, with my marker, I have my rainbow shape for the top of my skull, my smaller U shape, and then I'm going to connect them, my S shape for my backbone. We have our shoulders and our hips, which is where we'll add our legs. Now our arms, 2 lines for our arms. And we're dancing, so our arms are moving. Same with our legs. I'm going to do silly. And then the other way. So feet. Hands. And our ribs. So starting right under my shoulders, my capital C, and the other way. My capital C, and the other way. And one more time, my capital C, and the other way. So we have it forwards and backwards. So we have our skeletons that are fun and dancing. So just because these are the way I drew them, you can go ahead and create your own. Everyone's going to do theirs their own way. I just broke it down for you step by step. So next we're going to go ahead and decorate them.